Thanks for tuning in to my labor and delivery birth vlog. Before we begin, Naeem wants to introduce himself. He didn't sound too happy, but it's okay. We got it under control. So here I am at Henry Ford in West Bloomfield. Let's just say I absolutely adored this hospital. It's one of the best hospitals in Michigan. As you all know, due to this ridiculous virus, only one person was allowed in the delivery room with me, which was my mother dearest. She took over the camera for me for a little while, so the credit definitely goes to her. I really appreciate, love, and respect my mom. She had me at 18 years old, and I'm her oldest. Here I am having my first child at age 26. I did plan this pregnancy even though my child's father and I are not together. The hospital staff made me feel at home immediately. Aside from the very first nurse I dealt with, all the others were great. And I'll tell you why. The first nurse bruised my arm so bad from trying to get the needle in. I do understand mistakes happen, but then she gave me a COVID test that made my nose bleed. But anyway, this is just the start of the labor and delivery. My mom did an excellent job at this room tour. So I was in labor for at least 12 hours with naps included, of course. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my water did break naturally. So my dad dropped me off at the hospital. My brother Caleb, who is 15, was in the car along with my dad's friend. Gotta love family. I thought I was going to push out my son naturally, but I ended up having a C-section. I did get an epidural. The whole experience is nerve-wracking, but definitely worth it, especially if you don't have the highest pain tolerance. Coming from someone who has pierced themselves, I can handle only so much. The saying is quite true. They do feel like severe menstrual cramps. So here is me, Madre, preparing to go into the delivery room with me. My mom was extremely supportive, but I did not expect any less. She is one of the best. Yeah, that might have been cheesy, but so what? Get used to it. This is my personality. So I didn't get to meet my son for at least 2 to 3 hours after he was born, which was very difficult. Here is the first time in my reaction to my son.
Hi. I don't want you to stand for too long, okay? Just because this is the first time getting up after the C-section.
Okay, he is really small.
Thank you.
Hi, son. It's so surreal. My baby. Oh, hi.
He looks very comfortable.
He's so sweet. And all his hair. You want to touch him now, Mom?
Oh, we all wait till you finish.
So it took a while to get him stable,
okay,
right?
Well, he didn't want to breathe on his own right away. That's from what I'm told. I was not there.
Go
Dr.
ahead,
Durrani
Mom.
was there. So he needed help with oxygen. Oops. That's so don't worry about it. I'll get a new one. We have plenty.
Okay.
So he's much more stable now.
Yeah.
As you can see, we're assisting, but he is doing all the
His
breathing
legs
on his own.
is going up and down really
Well,
good.
thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
taking care of him.
And so we don't have.
You have no idea how hard it was to watch and see my son through a piece of glass. My son Naeem ended up staying in the NICU for at least a week. He actually was released at exactly 1 week old. My son was born April 13th, 2021 at 1:19 p.m. He weighed 6.6 pounds and 19 inches. I was able to take him home on April 20th. I was able to stay in the hospital the whole time. I only went home once. That was to regroup since I hadn't combed my hair in days. And let me tell you, that was the hardest night of my life. No mother wants to be away from her child, especially so early on in their life. I'm just so grateful and blessed that we both made it. My son is now a little over 2 weeks old and he's doing great. I'm still adjusting to this mom life. It's a process, but I do love it. He's worth losing sleep for. Naeem Sincere Herndon is the best gift I've ever had. He's everything I ever wanted, imagined, and more. I'm laying right beside him as I record this audio. We actually just moved to this mother's home that the hospital recommended. We both like it so far. I'm not sure what I'd do without the support I receive from my loved ones and the community surrounding me. That goes for the hospital workers, everyone involved. I am so in love, as you can imagine. There are so many emotions that you feel during this whole process, especially if you experience or will experience something like this of your baby having to stay in the hospital for a while. Every baby, every woman is different, so you just don't know. However it gets done, it's a blessing. I'd go visit my son at least a few times a day. He was only right down the hall from me. It was so hard walking away and leaving him there, but I know he needed to be taken care of. As long as we're not completely prepared for the birth, especially since he was born a couple weeks early via C-section at 37 weeks, which is still considered full term, I believe, but correct me if I'm wrong. Speaking of being wrong, you know the saying, mother knows best. When you have a child, be prepared for everyone and their mama to tell you what to do. It can be very frustrating because it's like, did you carry this child? Did you go through everything I did? Do you have to stay up with him all night? I don't think so. But aside from the necessary drama, you do see that I capture every single moment possible. This was Naeem's first time outside. I kept it short and sweet. We had a relative coming over, and I decided to get us both dressed up. Actually, it was my Aunt Brett and her two children who came by, and my brother Karan actually took this video. Here is a series of pictures that I have taken. Having a baby is no joke. It's beautiful for sure. It definitely takes a lot of commitment and devotion, but it's all worth it in the end. And this is my beautiful Nana. She is amazing. She is what has held this family together since I can remember. I have the utmost respect and admiration and love for her. This is the second time she met my son, but the first time she held him. She took him to his first pediatric visit, and this woman means the world to me. I'm so blessed to have someone like her as a grandmother. She supported me since I was a baby myself. And Naeem is still adjusting to his life outside of the hospital. Both of us are, so of course he has his days and nights mixed up. I'm taking in every beautiful moment, but I sure can't wait until he can be a little more independent and I can get a little more sleep. Here is my postpartum body. Yes, hunty. This whole process has been shocking. I mean, I didn't even expect to look this good, okay? I just love when my son smiles. And my siblings have been so supportive and loving. Naeem is the very first grandchild. He is the nephew of four of my brothers and my sister. I have been breastfeeding him, but I recently started formula as well. Breastfeeding is a real commitment. It's like being partially pregnant because you're going to be really hungry. I can't say this enough that the nurses at West Bloomfield Henry Ford were exceptional. They really went above and beyond to make sure I was comfortable and accommodated. My son was in great hands and he left in great condition and still is. Even though my C-section was somewhat of a blur, I still recall the nurse holding my hand and my mom as well. This photo is the first time I held my son. My beautiful mother even got me roses. I did not expect that at all. She's so sweet. What would most of us do without the mother figures in our lives? It really does take a village to raise a child. Naeem is a dream come true. Now, as far as my recovery, I am recovering pretty well. I did get a vertical cut, which seems to be normal these days, and I had to post him on Facebook. I know my story is all over the place, but I can't help it. All I wanted was for my son to be out of there, and he really progressed and did so great. I had no idea when he was coming home, but I'm just glad it didn't take any longer than what it already did. This is the very first photo I took of my son, and this is the very first photo my mom took of him before he was sent to the NICU. As traumatizing as this experience has been for the both of us, we did survive. Of course, it could always be worse, but then again, I do not compare my problems with other people's. We all have our own battles. My siblings, Caleb and Tamia, really did show how much they love
for moments, memories.
They came and picked us up from the hospital and put together some of the furniture. I was definitely a proud big sister in that moment. I even began to build a bond with my father.
Thank God he calmed down.
Which is amazing to say the least. Babies can really bring families closer together. Now I can say that April is one of my favorite months, aside from June, of course. And here's my little sister, the baby whisperer.
His nail's slowly growing.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.